In this video, we will discuss about the cells involved in immunity. Good morning. Welcome YouTube channel. Bioconcept. Learn with concept. Immune cells are types of body cells, which are involved to protect body from infectious agent or pathogen. These cells are neutrophils, basophils, mast cells, eosinophils, monocyte, macrophage, dendritic cell, megakaryocyte, B cell, T cell, natural killer cell and NKT cell. Let's start from neutrophils. Neutrophil is major constituent of blood cell and have 50 to 70% in leukocytes. This blood cells are originated from common myeloid stem cells, contains granules that are not stained with acid and base at both dyes. It's a part of innate immune system. The lifespan is few days. Infection condition can increase the number of neutrophils in blood. This cell is a first responder to reach infection area. It's also a major constituent of pus. Main function of neutrophils is phagocytosis, secretion of cytokine, chemokines and antimicrobial substances. It's also regulate adaptive immune response by secrete cytokines. Next, basophils, which constitute up to less than 1% of circulating leukocytes. It also originates from common myeloid stem cells, contains proteins called histamine. These cells die with basic stain, hence the name, basophils. Its role is in innate immunity. These cells secrete histamine after binds with antibody, and responsible for allergy reaction. It shows immune response against parasites, and regulate adaptive immune response by cytokine secretion. Next, mast cell. These cells are found in tissue. It's also a type of granulocyte, and contains histamine. Its origin from myeloid stem cell and mature in tissues. It also stains with basic dyes, and part of innate immune response. Mast cells secrete histamine and cytokine, responsible for allergic reaction. Mast cell shows immune response against parasites. Next, eosinophils. It's constitute up to 1 to 3% of leukocytes, and it's also originate from myeloid stem cells. These cells are motile phagocytes and can travel from blood to tissue in response to infection. It contain acidophilic granules, which die using acidic dye. It shows innate immune response against infection. This eosinophil secretes cytokine, which regulate adaptive immune response and cause allergic reaction, and shows immune response against multicellular parasitic infection, like helminths. Next, monocyte is a special type of cells, have property of professional antigen-presenting cells. Its allos originate from myeloid stem cells, and constitute up to 5 to 10% of blood cells. Monocyte develop to macrophage in response to infection, and function as antigen-presenting cells. This cells is a part of innate immune response, but it's also function as a bridge of innate and adaptive immunity, as it's activate B and T lymphocytes. Monocytes can be two types, inflammatory and patrolling monocytes. Next, macrophages, which are developed from monocyte, but the area of infection, and function as APC. The function of macrophages are joined with monocytes. Next, dendritic cells. It's also a professional antigen-presenting cell. This cell is discovered by Ralph Steinman in 1970s period. This cell is originated from lymphoid stem cells. These cells have projections, like dendrites of nerve cells. Hence the name is dendritic cell. Its function is phagocytosis and antigen presentation. It's also function as bridge between innate and adaptive immune response. This cells also secrete cytokine, showing immunity against microbes, and regulate adaptive immune response. Next, megakaryocyte produce platelets, which work in blood clotting and activate some complement protein. Next, B lymphocyte. This cells is originate from lymphocyte stem cells, and have B cell receptor on their cell surface, which are membrane-bound antibody. After encounter with antigen, this cell activate and differentiate into plasma cells and B memory cell. Plasma cells secrete large amount of antibody against antigen, and shows antibody immune response, also called humoral immune response. Next, T lymphocyte. These cells are also originate from lymphoid stem cells, and have T cell receptor, along with CD4 or CD8, cell membrane, marker. This T cell are found in major two types, T cytotoxic cells, which have T cell receptor with CD8 marker, and T helper cells, having cell receptor with CD8 marker. T cytotoxic cells attack infected cells with MHC class I molecules, and T helper cells binds with professional antigen-presenting cells with MHC class II. After binding, T cell activates and differentiate into effector and memory cells. T cell showing cellular-mediated immune response. There is also a type of T regulatory cells which inhibit activity of T cells. T cells are responsible for adaptive immune response, as helper cells help other cells in immune response, but cytotoxic cell kills infected cells directly, and also destroy cancer cells. Natural killer cells originate from lymphoid stem cells, and recognize absence of class MHC1 molecule on host cells, and kills infected cells by secreting toxic substance. This natural killer cells are part of innate immune response. Natural killer T cells, also called NKT cells, are derived from lymphoid stem cells and have properties like natural killer cells and T cells. Some NKT cells have CD4 marker on their cell's surface. These cells are part of innate immune response and can recognize CD1 protein on target cells. This cell kills infected cells by secreting cytotoxic granules.